All right, I think we're live. New setup. Sipping on some wonderful old fashioned from Smoke Wagon. Well, old fashioned is my creation. The bourbon is Smoke Wagon. So yeah, cheers everybody to a lovely Sunday. So kind of wanted to do something fun. I was listening to Marius's. John Campbell has a recommendation there. I like that. It's pretty chill. Can jump back into it. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Testing a new mic setup. It seems like it should be working based on my tests, but you never know until you actually get into the live chat stuff. So definitely digging the wonderful John Campbell track here. That's pretty dope. I'll have to hit that in the hearts there. Yep. Bubbles is a must listen. Always. That's one of those ones that you have to. Everyone needs to listen to Yoshihara Kawa. At least Bubbles. I think there's The Letter. Wandering, I think, is another. Those are like the top three of my favorites. There's things like Frogs or something like that, and that's another really good one. Yeah, he does fantastic work. So, but anyways, hey, Marius, thanks for the recommendation on the track. It was pretty cool track. I like that. So tonight's just more of a chill hangout. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, we got the panda. So two new things I got were, I'm gonna point at these things, but that thing and that thing. It's all reversed in my looking at the camera there. But so they're basically pretty cool little light tubes and kind of fun ambience. I need to figure out like how I want to do these more for when I get into like doing like the proper videos and editing. They'll be good for like creating cool ambience and for like the shorter stuff. And then for latest live streams, it just kind of adds a little different pop. I can change the colors. I can do all sorts of cool stuff with them. And then I also got a massive light that's way too big for the space, but I figure go big or go home to some level, or at least grow. You know, it can grow if I move spaces. I can use it for other things. But it's a Godox VL 160, I believe. And so now I got this stupid massive softbox for it. So it's way too big for the space, and it's at like 5% right now, and it's still just like. But anyhow, yeah. Very weird stuff. Yeah, what's going on? Yeah, chilling. Like I said, I got an old fashioned. This one I have some bourbon aged cherries in here. Secret mix, bitter milk. Yeah, bitter milk, old fashioned bourbon, or a barrel bourbon aged old fashioned mix. And then I throw in a little bit of walnut bitters. And this one, because I was feeling a little desserty, I threw in a little bit of bourbon barrel-aged maple syrup to add that extra kick of sugariness. And it's just tasty. And then the bourbon I'm using is Smoke Wagon from Las Vegas. They do some really cool stuff. And then on the side, because I got it in recently, is I have the Smoke Wagon small batch in my neat glass. And it's kind of a cool, neat glass. It's like the official glass apparently for like bourbon testing, so it's supposed to be able to get good nose out of it. But I mean, yeah, it's pretty cool. And then this is the bourbon in here is like I said, Smoke Wagon small batch bourbon, and then I have a uncut, unfiltered Smoke Wagon that I'm looking forward to cracking open here in the near future. But I wanted to kind of get these ones, get a little flavors out of them, get taste out of them. I'm happy. So someone actually mentioned a comment that they wanted me to discuss my thoughts on to some level, and I want to kind of reach out to you guys and see what you guys thought. And they were mentioning it. The comment was, I think it's even in the comments of this, was the Odyssey, the new Odyssey, the ribbon, the Odyssey, whatever the ribbon one that they just released. And there's only like 67 of them. It's funny, my lens here has a 67 for its thread. Anyways, random thing. ADHD, it's a hell of a thing. So this limited release factor, right, and how people then scoop those things up and then sell them on the aftermarket for really expensive, or it's like that whole thought process. What what's everyone's thoughts on that? You know, like the whole, because there's not just audio that this is happening, and this is, you know, I've been searching for GPU forever. I finally got one at MSRP, even though it was exponentially higher than it should be for MSRP because of the chip shortage and all that stuff. But I think with audio, it's unique because when you think about it, do headphones gain value or do they lose value, right? Like most things technically lose value over time, and then there's usually, if they're like something that's really, yeah, LCDR, thank you, Marius. Hey, what's up, Demetrio? So I think as things kind of gain popularity, they then eventually will have value again later on as like in you know, as they get older, because of nostalgia that they had when they first came out, for instance. And you can see that with, like, you know, old toys or something like that, like Star Wars collection toys, or, you know, even like the He-Man stuff has a resurgence. Or what you'll see is, like in the bourbon world or whiskey world, you'll see stuff like limited release, kind of like this Odyssey LCDR, and it becomes a hot thing because no one can have it. And so there's also this group of people that love to be the person that has the thing that no one else can have, and so they'll pay a lot of money for that. And it's not a bad thing. That's not, you know, neither here nor there. But it does drive this kind of FOMO, right? Like there's that fear of missing out. And I think that's an interesting topic because it can be frustrating. And I fully understand it because I've been super frustrated trying to get like specific things, like even like the game consoles right now are impossible to get, or like I said, the GPUs earlier, or even like just anything to do with streaming, even like, because when everyone, you know, was working from home, everyone wanted cameras and wanted, you know, camera gear. And I remember trying to get one of these things, and it was dang near, let's see, well, you focus, there you go, one of these things, and this thing was dang near impossible to get. And I randomly got one for MSRP. I think I got this one from Amazon or Best Buy, anyways. And I remember everyone was like, "Oh, I'll buy that for you from like twice the price." And it's like, no, like, I don't know, like, I think that so you get that supply and demand type of deal. But I don't know, what's your guys' thoughts on that? See here, Marius. Yeah, I also agree with you with that. So Marius says, I think they're just testing the waters with the new tech direction, but you don't like the approach. I agree. I think kind of, because then what happens is you get the people that the first 70 or 60, I think there was more than 67. I think there was a couple that were reserved for like tours and like specific groups. And I think then you're kind of a beta tester, but you also have that added people that like that, though. They are then like, oh, I'm in the know, or I have the thing that you don't. It still has that a little bit there, but yeah, it does have that kind of beta, like you're the beta tester for this, or the check on it. Yeah, Chris, that's a very excellent point. High-end audio is just that. They are luxury. It's extremely luxury gear. I mean, heck, I was listening to with the Stelios earlier, and I mean, yeah, it's luxury. Like, I mean, if you really, some of the stuff that's in my house right now, it's like cheese and rice. But yeah, yeah. So I think with that, sorry, I was reading a question, and I'll get to it here in a second. I go, it's just an interesting topic. I don't necessarily agree with it. I'm not really a big fan of like the reseller secondary market. Like, so in the whiskey world, there's the people that they call them flippers, where they'll buy whiskeys that are really limited and try and sell them for ridiculous prices. That's why certain whiskeys will be like, you know, stupid expensive. Or what you see with like gaming consoles, right, where someone will buy buy a console and then flip it for like twice, 3 times the price, kind of thing. And a lot of that supply and demand for that stuff. But yeah, I'm not a big fan. Like for whiskey, to me, it's like it's meant to be enjoyed. Like it's a piece of your technology. Like, so whiskey is something you enjoy, to me, with friends, family, or to relax with. Consoles, technology, and that kind of things is the same kind of deal, right? Something that used to be enjoyed, and to have it limited to only a certain group of people seems not really beneficial to anyone but the people that have that gear, if that makes sense. Not even the manufacturers, not even the people that you know, are reselling it. I don't know, it just seems like it's the only people that really win, but even then they're not really winning, is the people that end up paying stupid amounts of money for it, for this, you know, exclusivity that they'll have for a certain amount of time. Because at the end of the day, it is just a matter of time, right? Unless something completely goes kaput, and then if that's the case, it probably wasn't really worth having in the first place. So I don't know, different things, different strokes, I guess. But that's kind of like the weird one I was thinking of that was asked earlier about the topic like that. And I don't really fault Odyssey for it per se. I see what they're trying to do, I think, with like kind of what Marius was saying about being a kind of like a test to see how people would react or what they would want out of that. And I don't know. And then they're also doing that CR carbon, the CRBDN or whatever, which is the electrostatic one. So I think they're just kind of testing the water, seeing what comes of it. And so, yeah, it's just different. And then, I have had a couple of those amps in, and with I really enjoyed them with my Verite closed, the Euphoria, but I still think as good as it is probably one of the top built tube amps. But specifically with the Euphoria or with the VC, I actually liked the VC the most off of my, speaking of unicorns or things that are limited to get, the T4, ECP T4, which I think they're making more of them soon, so that's a good thing, because those are really good hybrid tube amps. My bottlehead crack, but I think the Euphoria was it was a very lean sounding for me with the Verite close, and I feel like with the Verites, they actually do better with something a little warmer, a little more lush. I'm not trying to detract from the Euphoria, because the Euphoria is fantastic. It's probably one of my favorite tube amps that you can get. But the better pairing to me with the Euphoria lineup was the Focal line. So I thought that was a really good lineup or pairing. Yeah. Mark, what's going on? I think I saw a message from you before, Mark, on one of the comments, but for a reason it didn't show up in my comments thing. I was going to respond, but it didn't show up in my comments, so I couldn't respond to you. Sorry about that. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe a weird YouTube glitch. Let's see. You ordered a Tesla last July and expected the reconsider. Yeah, the chip shortage is ridiculous. It's happened to everybody. I mean, even look at like the headphone companies out there, right? Like even they are having a heck of a time getting supply out, and anytime something comes in, it's like sold out instantly if it's a popular item. So it is. I think it's one of those things we're just gonna have to deal with for the next, I don't know, who knows, until this stuff goes away. Let's see here. I've heard something about this Volat. It sounds interesting. I think that's the one that people were mentioning it earlier too, about someone had blown theirs up. I think maybe I'm thinking of the wrong amp, but it looked cool. Is that the Flux Volat? Is that the one? And so yeah, should be interesting. And then Marius, the stereo. So I have, if you guys didn't know, the stereo I have right now is I have a pair of the Corn Scalas. I got a pair of Corn Scalas, and they're massive. Like it's like if you watch the Justin from Amps and Sound, his stream where he was talking about how he builds them and stuff. So Justin, I believe, is 6'4" and almost 300 pounds. And he looks kind of small next to these things. I'm about 6'2", 230, and they were not easy. I remember I had to like lug these things in, and, like try not to smash my walls as I was bringing them in off the crate. They came in on a crate, full on. Had a forklift come out backyard, drop it in my driveway, and I was like, "Ah, great! It's gonna be a pain in the ass to get in the house." But they're in the house now, and right now I have them paired with the Unity Nova, the name Unity Nova, and that's on loan to me right now for I'm not sure how long, but it's a lovely piece of kit, but it's a very expensive piece of kit, and but it is wonderful amp. I'm really impressed with it. It's kind of, to me, it's like the Apple of amps, I guess, to some way, in the sense that you just plug it in and just kind of go, and you can connect your Spotify Qobuz, and it has a ton of different like that stuff, but it's kind of a walled garden, because it doesn't really, you're not really allowed to add your own DAC to it or other, it's really hard. It's hard to add things that aren't named to it, I guess, if that makes sense. But I'm going to, this week, I'm going to swap out and move my Vidar Freya S, and I'm thinking about grabbing one of my preamp tubes as well to put in that chain just to get a little tubiness to it, and I'm going to try and see how that plays. And then I have another Vidar that I'll hopefully be getting back in the next week or two that I let somebody borrow. And I have actually the Vidar that I have right now is on loan right now from one of the community guys. So once my Vidar gets back, I plan on doing a dual mono Vidar with that setup, just because it's stupid amounts of power and just to see what happens, because reasons. So hey Sleepy, what's going on? Hey Machado, what's going on, brother? How's the photo shoot going? And thanks. Yeah, so this is I'm trying out the new lights and the new microphone. How's the mic sound, guys? I got this, I'm not gonna lie, I had purchased a Sennheiser Mark 600, I believe is what it was, or MKH 600. And then I saw this YouTube video where someone was like, "Oh, buy this. It's a comparable. It's like the knockoff cheapo version of the Sennheiser 416, which is the one I really want to get." And so I returned the Mark 600 without even listening to it or opening it or anything like that. And I have this Synology or something. I'll have to look it up and post it below or something. But it's this knockoff 416 mic, shotgun mic, so hopefully it sounds okay, not sound like I'm in a tank. And then I have a fan going off to the side here, so if I'm curious to see if you guys can hear that, because it is hot in this room. It's really sweltering, even with the AC going. It's because my desk is dumb and it blocks the AC, so I have to have a fan to kind of pull the air out behind the desk to get it circulating in the room, but it's not great. Not a great scenario. Cool. Thanks. Yeah, I was hoping that the mic would be okay. Originally, I had my Ninja Turtle standing back here holding one of the lights, but then it just doesn't quite fit into his hands, so it looked kind of weird, so I just had him holding it. It's pretty funny. Yeah, so the other mic I use I use just this little bad boy. It's just a little, come on, you can do it. So I Rode NTG1 video mic, I believe is what these are. And this is what I usually use. This is what I've been using since really starting. And I was like, oh, I should try to get a new mic. But honestly, these things are pretty great. I mean, for what they cost. I mean, they're super versatile. They're battery powered, USB-C. You can do USB-C direct into the computer. Whereas this mic, I have to use a Focusrite Scarlett to get that into the computer. And then it was weird. I had to do some pretty wonk stuff to get it to work properly with the system because it's mono. And so I had to, in Streamlabs OBS, I had to go in and change the setting to mono to get it to turn stereo. It didn't make sense to me, but it works. So, yeah, so it's interesting. So hopefully it's a cool little setup. Another toy I got recently, so I can start doing more videos, like the 15-minute videos, like actual edited videos. And so I could have the audio separated. I got a little cool Zoom external mic recorder for these, so I can try to make my audio better in my pre-recorded and edited videos. So hopefully that pays for itself in the long run. Should be fun. Hey Snow Ranger, what's going on? So for those who miss it, old fashioned, and I have on the wings waiting a nice little sip of Smoke Wagon small batch. So, and then this was an old fashioned with Smoke Wagon straight bourbon. So like their baseline, and then the small batch is kind of like their next bottle. And then I have waiting to try. I'm going to try to do a review on it. Is the uncut unfiltered, which is their kind of like their top, not top line, but easiest to get one that's like higher end. They have like 2 or 3 other ones that are like, I think it's Private Reserve or Private Select, and then like the Desert Jewel, and then they have sometimes a single barrel select that they'll do. Those are like impossible to get. So kind of going back to the beginning of the topic, some things you just I think that's the biggest thing to take away from anything that's limited quantities. As a person that wants a thing, yeah, I think it's like that, like Elsa says, you know, let it go, let it go. So it is one of those things. Yeah, Sleepy, Audacity is a good way to start. Yeah, and so that's the other thing with these. So the Rode, it does have there's a little mic jack right there, and so you just plug bloop, like that, and you have a little cable, and that plugs directly into my camera as well. And that's what I was doing for all my pre-recorded videos for the past ones I've done. That's how I had this. I just had it literally mounted on top of the camera. In fact, the little dongle DAC that I have, so that the reason why sometimes it sounded a little wonk is because my mic was too far away, and it was picking up the room echo, and so that was why the audio was a little bit weird in that video. But hopefully with the Zoom setup, I can be able to eliminate that in the future. So yeah, that panda, man. I tell you what, man, can't hold his liquor to save his life. It's ridiculous. He's actually got a pretty sweet shirt on too. It's pretty funny. JTB. And if you guys are wondering the shirt that I'm rocking, you know, you gotta blaze your own trail, you know, folks. Just blaze your own trail. Yeah, so I think that's kind of all that's really happening in my world. I'm gonna hopefully get some stuff going on this week. I'm gonna be working on a whiskey review. And then I also have this in from a wonderful community guy and friend down the way. And so I'll hopefully have this worked on and pushed out here in the near. It's shiny, that front little plate there. Is that going to do it? There you go. There you go. Now you can see it. So I'm looking forward to really putting this through some hardcore stuff. As of right now, it's pretty competitive, and the thing that I'm mostly playing with it is this bad boy. So that's actually pretty stark comparison. Like, look at how much bigger the SPL monitor is compared to the Mini, and they're actually pretty comparable. So I haven't really done a proper AB. I haven't done an AB with them yet. I took them off the chain to take pictures and stuff, but yeah, that should be pretty fun and interesting. Jack, cheers, my man. Cheers. The next one I was gonna say, it's kind of interesting. I was trying to figure out a way, like what would you guys want me to do some more videos on too? Like, I kind of like I'm not good at it yet, but I'd like to do more storytelling. Like, I think that's fun. Like, I'm trying to learn how to, you know, put more thought into like the intros and outros and what have you, and adding different audio and soundtracks. It's really fascinating and fun for me to play with. I'm really digging on it lately. So if you ever have any ideas of things that you think would be fun ideas for me to attempt or try, I'll do my best to try and get that gear in and see what happens. I think I'm getting I'm not the biggest IEM guy anymore, just because of use case. I don't really have a use case for them. But I'm getting, for work, I'm going to be getting in a bunch of the Campfire audio IEMs here this week as well. So maybe I'll do a quick video on that as well. I'm going to try and do these live streams more as like this, more of that cool hangout and chill, and we can talk audio, we can talk the other things, and also I want to do more like guests, like have more people on. I want to get eventually, I'd like to see if he's not in the chat now, but I wanted to talk to Elnrick or Pro Falcon. He has the Forge from headphones. I want to get him on eventually once he's ready and do a live stream on the Forge and his thoughts on it. I think that'd be a fun stream to do with him, because I think he has a lot of really, really good insights and a lot of experience with tubes and tube amps. So I think that would be a fun one to do and get kind of his take on the Forge. So that'll be a fun one. Hopefully I'll get that scheduled here soon. But yeah, and that's the other thing. So I do want to do more stereo and speaker stuff. I just don't have the best setup. Like so that's one thing with stereo. Like headphones, they're easy because the room is the cup, right? Like, so you don't have to worry about room correction. You don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. I mean, you can EQ and stuff, but I mean, my room isn't the greatest for a lot of stereo stuff. So it would have to be anything that I would be saying about the speakers would have to be taken with a grain of salt to some great level, because that's my room, that's my, and that's the same thing with headphones though. So I mean, at the end of the day, really, I guess, I don't know, some people are super strict about that stuff, but I don't know, I think I'll just talk about my experience with the speakers and what have you, and how my wife OCD levels make sure that they're flush with the entertainment system, and then she places chairs in front of them, and it's awesome. So every time I have to want to listen to them, I have to rearrange the room and then put it back the way she likes it. Otherwise, she'll come down and. But yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's see here. Hey, thanks, Sir Ranger, on the drinks. I enjoy an old fashioned. Mostly, it's just old fashioned and it's neat. If it's generally, that's my jam. Is like a different takes on old fashions and neat. But I do like White Russians are another favorite of mine. Dark and Stormy is another classic I love. And I was playing with one drink that someone's recommended, and it tastes great, especially on a hot summer day. It's sweet tea, bourbon, and then you sweeten to taste, right? You can maybe add some bitters if you want, but it's essentially, and then throw a bunch of ice in there, and it's like, whew, that is tasty. I made a video on, I think I was on Instagram. I made a video about it, I think. Maybe I did it on one of these. Brain worked well. It's been a long day, but yeah, that was tasty drink. It was light. It was really refreshing. No alcohol flavor to it. It just was nice, refreshing drink. Aqua Teen Hunger Force. They are pretty good, man. Let's see here. Song that I can't get out. You know what it is? Sleep Rhythm. This is gonna be an interesting song. I can't get out of my head, and I keep listening to. And I did this Primus kick recently, and it's To Defy the Laws of Tradition by Primus. And that's the one that's been stuck in my head for the past couple days and week. But yeah. Cheers. I am only having ice cream, though. Jack, it's okay. No worries. Another fantastic drink, speaking of, not that we're a super booze-centric channel, but root beer, vanilla ice cream, and bourbon. It's called a bourbon root beer float or a bourbon float, and whew, that's tasty. That's real tasty. Stream with Marcello. Yeah, once Marcello's ready, man. He's a busy man though, man. He's that guy. You have to realize, dude. Like Marcello has full-time business, privately owned photography deal. He also is, single dad, that kind of fun stuff. So, but yeah, whenever he's ready to jump on, I'm always happy to do more, or vice versa. I'm always happy to jump on one of his streams, and shoot the poo. So, yeah. Let's see here. Hey, Bill MC89, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm trying to, at the end of the day, this is just fun, like that's, and when it's not fun, then I'll rethink it. But as of right now, it's still fun, and I'm enjoying it, and I enjoy interacting with everybody. And so I enjoy it, and it's really enjoyable listening and getting ideas from other people, and even like the music and stuff like that. Like even at the beginning, we had John Campbell was recommended, and I was listening to that at the beginning of just to kind of get in the mood a little bit, and it's just cool, like music discovery wise. And that's another thing I would like to do, is I need to start collecting more of the music, like Sleepy's mentioning, is kind of going over like the different music, and because I listen to everything, if that's not been abundant or made clear. I don't really care about the genre. I only care if I like the track or not. I'm not really like a huge like artist follower, but I do like certain artists, of course, but I'm more about the in the moment track rather than the greater scheme like genre or specific artist, if that is any kind of takeaway. So a lot of my listening is I'm no joke, ADHD is real for me. I get like my 1,000 song plus or whatever, how many tracks I have in whatever playlist, and I just hit random, and it's usually just completely random tracks, and I'll go until something catches my fancy, and I'll listen to that, and I'll do the same thing until I get another one, and that's usually how I listen. Or if I get in a certain mood, like I want to get into Primus or something like that, I'll go back and listen to a bunch of Primus, and then I'll usually, excuse me, and then I'll kind of follow that genre a little bit. Like I'll go into Primus to like some old school Red Hot Chili Peppers, back when they were more funk. So like 80s to early 90s Red Hot Chili Peppers. And then, you know, I'll throw in something like, what's another good one that I really, really like? Honey White is the track, and I have the album and everything, and I'm blanking on the name. But it was, Morphine. So Morphine is another really fun one. That one's a really unique band. Really tragic. The lead singer passed away. Classic, you know, musician stuff. But Morphine, if you get a chance, it's kind of like this funk surfer vibe, like funk punk surfer, like kind of, I don't know, it's really cool. But it's a saxophone, a drum, and I believe a bass guitar. I don't think there's like guitar or anything. I think it's just bass guitar, a drum set, a drummer, a bass guitarist, and a saxophone, and it's so good. Such a good freaking band. Let's see here. Since you're already having a unicorn shirt, what is a unicorn headphone? Unicorn headphone. So I'm going to take unicorn as kind of like really hard to get, and or like that thing that's just probably like the. And I don't have it anymore, but I would say if it fit in my world more and I used it more, my unicorn headphone would be probably the SR1A. Like that one was just so good. Like it just, to me, it beat every other headphone I ever had. The problem with it is once you get near field speakers or speakers, it doesn't really have a place anymore. in my, at least for me, it didn't have a place. Like if I was listening to SR1As, I could also have been listening to near field speakers. So I'd rather listen to near field speakers. And so it didn't really fit in my listening scenarios. And so what I'm trying to do is get down to like distill my collection down to things that have a purpose and have a use case and are things that I love, you know, like as the Kondo way of saying it, you know, does it spark joy, you know? So I'm trying to get there. It's a hard progress because I'm also a collector at heart, so it's hard for me to let go of certain things sometimes. So, but yeah, I do enjoy the SR1As were probably one of my unicorns, and if I couldn't have speakers, I couldn't have if I couldn't have speakers and I could only have one headphone, it would probably be the SR1A. That'd probably be my done and done. Just be happy. And then, so Sleepy, yeah, the different pads, I could do that. I have a bunch of different pads, but I think it's funny is I actually have a bunch of duplicate pads. Like I have a bunch of the Verite universes. I have a bunch of universe. I think I have one of the hybrids. So yeah, ones I have, I can probably throw them on. It's just a matter of now identifying them and hoping I have them right. And I would love to do a music track one. That would be fun. I can probably go and do that. So yeah, I would think that would be a fun one. I want to get more into the music and kind of like showcasing different music, especially when we do like these live. Maybe do like that might be a fun one. Like maybe I'll do a live stream where it's just me listening to one headphone, and I only listen to tracks recommended by the live chat, and I will just go through and make it just a whole thing about just and like what those headphones perform, or like maybe that would be like maybe a very specific chain, and just go through a bunch of recommendations, and then I can create a playlist from that and push it to the community. That might be fun. That'd be a cool random track list. But remind me, because I'll probably forget because reasons. That would be fun. Actually, I should probably write that down because that would be fun. Let's see here. Handy dandy notebook, always on hand. And so, what's another kind of fun? What's everybody else been up to lately? What's some of the other things that everyone's kind of like gravitating towards regarding like headphones or speakers or even just gear tech? Like, what's some of the stuff that everyone's real excited about this next couple weeks, months, what have you? Let's see here. Would like to do music specific stream. My handwriting is horrible right now. because I'm trying to go fast. Gotta go fast. And write in cursive while talking. I'm not quite that good yet. So let's see here. Yeah, Marcel, let me know. I'm happy to jump on yours or vice versa. Doesn't matter to me. Yeah, Marius, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely be doing a video on the corn scalas, and I'll probably do another one with the metas, and I'll talk about the metas like near field, and go from there, and then also in like a room setup. Personally, for as long as I've had these, I have the metas currently as near field, and I really love them in near field. Like, they just shine to me. Like, when I had them downstairs in the living room as like kind of the main speakers, they were good and they sounded really, really good, but I didn't quite get that engagement that I get with them when they're like triangulated and like right here. So yeah, I think that the near field for me, for them, is where they really shine, but we'll discuss that maybe another time. Asher, what's going on? Sheldon, what's going on? Yeah. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm skipping. Who makes cheap cables that can be used with the HE6 and stereo amp? Right. You know who? If you go onto the forum, headphones forum, I believe there's a bunch of people have recommended a bunch you can do. I know Antdroid on the forum. He's made some, and he could probably give you some good recommendations on the forum. So that would be a good source, is go to the forum and head up the HE6SE thread and then ask if there's anyone that knows of any good cables that can be used for that. And I know, because I know Android has made some before, so I don't think it's too difficult to do. And I think there's some that don't sell for super, super expensive. I think you find some, you just have to kind of look for them. Asher, how's it going? I'm good. Doing great. SPL Founder XE, that's what I have right here. I will be doing comparison with that with the Mini here soon. And so with the SPL Founder, Asher, just be aware that it is the 1/4 inch is the only thing you really have to be careful with. Is whenever you're using the 1/4 inch, always, and this should just be a normal practice for anybody just because reasons, but anytime you swap headphones or go to plug in, never have your music playing or have the amp under load while unplugging and plugging your headphones, because especially with this, and it's actually called out in the manual, but that specifically will pop your amp and potentially fry your headphones. So be aware of that. That's just good practice across the board. No matter what amp you're using, just practice safe amping, you know? Hit that pause button, swap out the cables, and then hit the go button and start listening again. But I do know for a fact that the SPLs are notorious, and it states it in the manual themselves, that they say do not have the amp under load while swapping the 1/4 inch. It's a 1/4 inch? 1/8 inch. But the XLR is supposed to be not to be a problem with that, but it's also, I mean, why even risk it? Just practice safe amping. Always pause your music when swapping out your headphones. Otherwise, other than that, the XE, the Founder XE, to me is still the most like revealing, I guess would be the better way to put it. It lets everything else shine. Like, it's basically, so to me it's so neutral. Like, I can tell what the headphones sound like. I can tell what the DAC sounds like when I'm listening with the SPL over almost every other amp I've listened to so far to date. It's like the cleanest sounding, I guess, without losing its soul, like the THX stuff does for me anyways. So it has just a lot of, it's just power with gain. You know, it's crazy. I'm a real big fan of it. I know a lot of people don't like it, but that's okay. No one has to like everything, right? So it is what it is. But I'm looking forward to your thoughts on it. Let me know what you think. It is one of my all-time favorite amps, especially for this kind of stuff. It's probably my favorite solid state as far as neutral solid states go. If I want a little more flavor and enjoyment, that's not the right word. If I want a little more kind of like tube sound or something like that, I like the Bursons. The other ones, I really like the TT2 amp DAC combo, the Hugo TT2. That's a very expensive piece of kit, but in my excuse for that was I was going to sell my SPL monitor and all my other DACs and I was going to just do the TT2 as the only thing I needed for solid state in a DAC. And then reasons happened, and I started doing more YouTube stuff and more comparisons, and so it just made sense to keep everything around. And on top of that, my SPL has an LED that kind of went out on it, and I was like, oh, I'll sell it, but then I was like, I don't want to deal with having to try to deal with the LED, and then I was like, I'm just going to customize it, I think. So maybe one day I'll eventually get to the point where I can customize it the way I want it, and I was going to change out the LEDs and all that fun stuff, and maybe paint it a different color. We'll see how that all pans out, but I'm excited to see what your thoughts are on it, because it's definitely a hell of an amp. Hey, drifting carbon, yes, the carbon, interesting thing that will be. Thanks, Ranger. Cheers, brother. Oh, and that's another thing. I was chatting with a couple of people, trying to figure out a way to like get more gear in that it's like harder to get as well. So I might try and figure out a way to do that. Let's see here. Here's some new stuff that's coming out over the next few months. Guys, see if any of this is a game changer or if it's just hype train. Yeah. Oh wait, I'm skipping ahead. Permanently moved my A90 amp to my player. There you go. Polyphia. Wait, I'm way behind here. Sorry, I went on a rant. Let's see here. What makes it interesting from? Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm hoping to play with the stereo stuff more. Thanks, Sheldon. Yeah, the music pairing will be fun. Jack, that's for 1A. Yeah, I'm telling you, that thing is it's a gem. But yeah. So you go, how come not a lot of headphone enthusiasts are vinyl collectors? They are mostly into speakers and vinyl. I actually have a small vinyl collection. I really wanted to get into it. For me, I have my 4-year-old and then getting placement of it. And I did for a long time, though. I was listening to my vinyl with headphones only exclusively, and it was really nice. I actually really enjoy it. It's actually a really intimate type of scenario to have that and listening to. It's a very unique, fun experience to do. One, just vinyl in general, right? And there's that whole process of wiping the vinyl and setting it up and playing it and having it go through the record and having to get up and I think it's even more intimate and more engaging when you use headphones because there's that extra step and that extra like focus. So honestly, I do think vinyl and headphones do go really well together. Let's see here. Active monitors. Reviews like Adam T. Yeah, I do have the JBL 305s in the closet, so that might be something to play with. I haven't listened to them in a long time, but that might be interesting to go into more of like the higher end ones. But I'll see if I can. I mean, I have to figure out how to get those in and all that fun stuff. Polyphia was recommended in a tweet from Resolve. Great instrumentals lately. There you go. Marius. Yep. We'll just order the VCs. Yeah, the VCs are fantastic. I'm really excited to hear what your thoughts are on those. Yep, Marius nailed it. Con Alpha. Yeah, those are the new cons are really pretty. They make good DAPs. Those guys. A&K. They make some really cool stuff. And the SR25 is unique, Sleepy. The SR25 has this really nice warmth to it, and it has this really engaging presence, whereas the cons tend to be a little bit brighter. So just as a heads up. And there's some new stuff. It'll probably be very hype train, Snow Ranger, but we'll see. Hopefully some of it turns out pretty great. Purple or Grupple Burl cups and pads. This month's new toy. Oh, nice. SR60s. I still have the Hemps back there, so those are actually, I was digging on the Hemps, to be honest. I don't know if they're worth the price point personally, but they're cool looking, and I can see the appeal. Let's see here, Tyler. You have lots of cool interests. Just curious if you're into firearms. Well, so if it wasn't known, I was, prior to all this fun stuff, I spent majority of my life as a military law enforcement guy. So yeah, I do have my. I don't have a huge collection by any means, but I do like firearms. I like going to the range. And recently I've been going a little bit more, and just yeah, it's fun. I enjoy firearms. So they've always been a fun thing to me. I'm not really a big carry guy as far as firearms go. I'm a kind of a believer of. I mean, I get it. It's the tool you want. So I understand why people would. Personally, I just don't see the need. I think anytime that you have a firearm or weapon on hand or thing, it's gonna escalate. It's an escalation device rather than a de-escalation, and I'm big on de-escalation, if that makes sense. But I do love firearms. I love going to the range and shooting and all that fun stuff. Not really a big hunter, but I like going to the range. But yeah. So that's my take on it. Oh yeah, Fonda. Cool. Sorry, I'm catching up now. Let's see here, Jack. This is a good question. Do you think Odyssey's planar game has been left behind by Hyphaman and Abyss? Hence, they're exploring on different driver types. Jack, I do think that a lot of these companies are getting a little stagnant, and I think that it's kind of cool that they are experimenting this way, and that's why I think it's important that they do continue to do this, because without innovation you kind of start to stagnate and fail, and other people are going to come around you and do better and greater. I'm personally not the biggest Odyssey fan, to be honest. I think they're great. They sound fine. My favorite of the bunch, which is going to be funny, that I've had was the GX, which was their gaming headphone. That was probably my favorite one. That right out of the box, I didn't have to worry about. It just sounded good without even having to EQ or anything. It just sounded good. The rest always seemed to have something that was there that made me want to EQ, and I don't like EQing. So the other competitors wise, I think that honestly, Hyphaman right now is kind of in an interesting spot because they took a really unique approach in the sense that they're using old technology, but it's almost like an Apple approach, I guess if you want to put it that way, where they're using old stuff to really, but they've honed it into like this as well as they can. So it'll be interesting to see how they innovate, because I think they're actually not innovating. They're just kind of, and they really haven't done much, to be honest. So that'd be interesting to see what they do. Honestly, I think the Rad Zeros from Rosin, those are as far as planars go, those are hands down my favorite planars right now. And yeah, other planars beat them in different aspects, but just the overall appeal of them and the overall sound signatures of the ones I've heard, I've been a big fan. And I think if the planar that I would eventually get would be a Rad Zero over the other and even higher end ones. So something to think about, I guess, and for your own sake, like to dive into. But I'm looking for more innovation. So not my favorite thing in the world, but super innovative is the Empyrean. Like they're playing with traces. They're playing with different like cup designs, that kind of stuff. I'm really I think it's super cool that they're playing with like the way that the trace design works, and seeing what they can get out of that. Looking forward to seeing what they come up with this new one. I think they're coming up with an Elite, Empyrean Elite. So that'd be interesting to see if they improve upon the Empyrean in ways that would make me want to maybe actually want something like that. But yeah, I think that's another company that's innovating, right? So they're not afraid to push something out that might not necessarily be not to everyone's cup of tea, but they did it, and it has plenty of rabid fans and plenty of detractors, or people that really love it, and a lot of people in the middle. So I mean, I think that's where you need to look at companies, is the ones that are pushing those like kind of boundaries and pushing the envelope on what is possible in that space. Who's doing unique things, anything that analog production makes, awesome quality. Yeah, there you go. Burst Solace 3X is a nice balanced amp. Does have a little hybrid tube flavor too. Yes, I agree. JTB, the Bursons, all the Burson stuff has, to me, like there's this like nice, it's that op amp. And then once you op amps start swapping those op amps, it's very tube-esque in the way that you can kind of tune in your flavor that you want. You don't have to use the Burson op amps either. You can go to other op amps if you want, and they all should just slot in. But that is cool. Like and the fact that you can easily hot swap them is, I don't know. That I really like that about the Bursons. It kind of, that really warmed me up to them, if that makes sense, or really opened my eyes to them a little bit more. Whereas before I kind of was like, oh, they're cool, or I've heard them a couple times, but it never really like grabbed me until I had one in house for a long time, and I was able to do like the hot swaps and stuff. And I was really impressed with the Burson stuff. But yep. Oh yeah, so Asher, the RME ADI2, that's what I used probably for like the ADI2 and the SPL 400XE was probably a good year, almost 2 years, where that was like my main setup. So if that says anything, you know, that was my main jam for a very long time. I loved it. So which amps are you using with the Soloist? Did you get the PS upgrade? So yeah, I'll let you guys go into that. I did personally. I'm a big fan of the Vivids. I had those in. I think Burson's sending me out a bunch more of the different op amps that they have, so I can do some. I'm gonna get. Hopefully, I get the little Funk in back again. It's out to another reviewer right now, but once I get it back, I'm gonna do another video on specifically just op amp swapping and what the sounds are, and I'll probably give away the op amps and stuff or whatever Burson says I can give away. So I'm gonna do a giveaway with whatever those are. So that should be fun. Miles Davis is fantastic. Love that. Also, another guy I've been really digging on lately again was Taj Mahal. A lot of the old Taj Mahal stuff. I've been really digging on Taj Mahal lately. Yeah, love that stuff. Oh yeah, Fiona Apple had a really good one. That was right. How big a difference does a $2,000 DAC make versus a 500? That's Alav. That's a tough one, because the thing with DACs are, until you hear the difference, it's really hard to hear the difference. And that sounds super dumb. It's kind of like, until you hear it, it can't be unheard. But for me, like, I didn't really hear a difference in DACs until I got a bunch side by side, and then R2R. And once I had an R2R in house, that's when I heard the biggest difference. And then once I heard that difference, and I had more experience with multiple DACs and started to like go, okay, well, what's the difference here? I started hearing the difference between like a Saber versus an AKM, and then versus an R2R. And then you go even further, you can look at like the Bifrost 2 versus say the TT2, or like the hollow audio stuff. At the end of the day, DACs do have different flavors, and they do add lots to the value, or lots to your enjoyment. But the thing you need to realize with DACs is I don't want to say they're the last thing you should look at, but they're definitely not something, especially under the $1,000 marker. Everything under $1,000 outside the Bifrost 2. Honestly, the Bifrost 2 is probably the best value in DACs that you'll ever find. And the next one up from that I would say is of value, not just because of the DAC level, but because of all the stuff you get with it, is the ADI2 DAC. And then, I mean, outside of that, you got the anything from shit like the Yggdrasil, that would probably be another one that I would say be a next jump up from those. Would be that probably those sweet spots. And then anything else outside of those things, I would say you're looking at something like the hollow audio stuff, like the Spring 3 or the May, and then the Chord, the TT2 to me has been so far. I mean, I've had a bunch of high-end stuff around the same, level and stuff, but the Chord it's tiny, and it does enough to the other stuff. But as far as the specific question, I would say your best bet, the biggest difference would be a Bifrost 2 to a Yggdrasil would be there's a difference for sure, and there's definitely a difference between a Bifrost 2 to a TT2. I mean, it's not the same. That's not that same price range, but I'd say, yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. I think it's all up to the end user as well, and the listener, and how much you're wanting to get out of your music. And for a lot of us crazy people that love to find that last bit of percentages and what have you, not that it's percentage, but we're chasing that audio dragon, and You're trying to get that dopamine rush from that. Oh, I just heard a thing that in the same track I've been listening to for years that I haven't heard before because this DAC is that much more revealing, or and it's usually little. It's not. So a lot of DAC reviews are exaggerated, and it's because the changes are such. They're not minute, but they're very like subtle. They're very subtle changes, and you really have to listen to them to really like pull it out. And then eventually, if you listen to one DAC for a really long time and you go back to something that isn't as resolving or isn't as revealing, that's when you'll really start to notice those differences as well. So I don't know, but everyone's journey is different when it comes to the DACs, to be honest. I think they are important, but I also can understand why someone wouldn't want to dump a lot of money into a thing that's like zeros and ones, so let's see here. So JTB, depending on which ones you have in the 3X, if you have the stock ones, highly recommend removing the stock ones and putting in if it's a big tall orange one. Those are usually the Vivids or the OG ones, I believe, or the Vivids or the I can't think of it right now off the top of my head, but the 6s or 5s, I think. Do it. I'm telling you, man. It was crazy how good it got. But if you already have the Vivids in there, don't go down, or you can just to try it, but don't go down to the OG little looks like a little chip with a little spider chip or something. And then vinyl is crazy, man. I was collecting vinyl. I was collecting a lot of video game vinyl, and it was it's crazy how expensive some of these vinyl, especially limited presses on video game albums or original soundtracks. It's crazy some of the costs that those go up into. And definitely need to try that V6 JTB for sure. Kebmo. Yes, Ace. That Taj Mahal Kebmo, fantastic album. A lot of Taj Doles. Actually, another one I really love Taj is him and the Hulu band, Fijian Hulu band out of Hawaii. That's another great one. Very Hawaiian. Hawaii is my spirit animal to some level. See here. Matrix Audio X. Here. Aries 2 is a solid. Aries 2. I don't know why I'm trying. I do this all the time. I have the window somewhat behind the camera, and there's a cable blocking the text, and I have this giant monitor with this huge empty space over here, and so I'm trying to look around. Things that we do that are ridiculous. Finite. Thank you. Exactly, Asher. Finite. There's definitely finite little details in the DAC. I didn't really want to say finite because I felt like it might be too strong of a word or too definitive of a word, but Alyssa, what's going on? Which tube amp you like the VC on the most? Thanks. So I would say for me, the best tube amp that I have heard the VC on, that's tough. If you want unicorn tube amp, it would probably be the Glen OTL. That was Zach from ZMF. He has a 300B Glen OTL, and that was another really stupid expensive one was the Torque from the forum. He has the 2 monoblock tubes from Woo Audio, which are stupid expensive. Those sounded really, really fantastic. As far as the ones I have in-house, I really enjoyed it off of my Bottlehead Crack. I also really liked it off the Eddy Current ZDT Junior. But my favorite is the T4, the ECP T4 headphone tube amp hybrid is so far been my favorite pairing with all my ZMFs and all my headphones, to be honest. It's actually my most used amp. It's actually the one that's usually hooked up at all times as far as amps for headphones go. Love that thing. And I believe that, like I said earlier, they're going to be pushing them out again. So, excuse me. Got the old-fashioned burps. But so the ECP4, hopefully they start pushing those out because those are low. They're expensive, but I don't know, that's some kind of magic there. Let me tell you. Well designed, really clean inside. and I really love mine. And I would talk about it more. I'd probably do a video on it, but until I know people can get it, I really don't like kind of highlighting something that people can't really get as much, and I feel bad. Like, it's not cool. Like, like I want people to experience these things. That's the fun of this hobby, is sharing the experiences, in my opinion. But let's see here. There you go. PS Audio does a lot of different ones, yeah. Vivid V6 Classics, Sparkos, and Staccatos are the 4 op amps I know of for the soloist. Just be sure to buy the duals. Yeah, you always want the duals for the op amps. Good one, Ace. The Vivid V6s were probably, those are the ones I heard. Granted, it was going from the little stock one to the Vivid V6, and it was a pretty massive difference. But I believe I think it was the 5. I don't know. It's their normal one, not the Vivid, but the other one that the person had that I had in the soloist was really good. Yeah, and shit, honestly, the JTB shit, honestly, is probably impossible to beat on a budgetary level, especially, and then just the quality of their build. It's simple, it's industrial, but they build good shit. I mean, sorry, bad joke, but no, like it's really is. Shit is probably one of the hardest things to beat. Is there things that are better than it? Yes, but you're paying exponentially more for them. And then it just comes down to what's good enough and what's not, really, at the end of the day. And I think that shit, at the end of the day, if I wasn't trying to chase the dragon hardcore and I just wanted like just fantastic good stuff that just works really well, and I just go and I don't have to worry about it, I'd probably just stick with shit and just have a bunch of shit everywhere. Sorry. Jazz at the Pawn Shop is fantastic. That is a great album. I agreed with you. Yeah. Duke Audio, yep, Orange. There's some good stuff out there. Problem with those subtle changes that once you hear it, it's hard to go. Yeah, it's so true, man. Like, once you hear something that's, and some people it's okay. Like, it depends on how. I've noticed that the longer you've been in audio and listening to very specific DACs and in this hobby, it's really hard to go backwards. But for someone just starting out, it definitively doesn't matter as much. Like, it just doesn't. Like I have friends that come over and I'll have them listen to the Chord versus, my shit hell, and they'll be like, okay. And you're like, what? Or they'll listen with my VCs versus, say, the Grottos, or like the HD 800s, and like just going through different series of things, and it's like, they're like, yeah, they sound slightly different. I can see that there's different signatures, but they're like, so it's like, but yeah, pretty funny. Let's see here. You should try that. Yep, got that one. DNA amps look promising, but not enough views on them. Yeah, the DNA, I really want to get a DNA in. I have a couple buddies that have been getting them recently, and everyone just screams how awesome they are that gets them. I might have to figure out a way to make that happen, because I'm not the biggest fan of the blue that they have. If it was purple, insta buy. But the DNA stuff, everyone, I have really close internet friends. Like, I think that could be a thing, right? And audio forum friends and what have you, and they swear by them, and they love DNA and they love those amps. So I think that would be one that I'd really like to get in as well. Plus, and at the end of the day, even if blue's not your thing, those are some dope looking amps. Another one that I really, really enjoy is the obviously all the amps and sound stuff. So the amps and sound stuff is really cool, especially now that I'm moving into the speaker world more, because they have more speaker related outputs and that kind of thing. So I might be looking more at some of the amps and sound things as well. Let's see. And oh, by the way, the Forge, specifically the headphones.com Forge, the best pairing I had with that of all things, and it was beautiful, and it was my favorite thing, and I listened to it religiously until people took both of them away from me and broke my heart. Elnrick Pro Falcon has the Forge right now, and then one of the reps for rosin has the Rad Zeros that I had, the gold and blue ones. Oh, they were so lovely. So I lost both my. Those were becoming my 2 most listened to chain. So is what it is, though. Hopefully, get that stuff back in the near future and get back to listening to that stuff. Let's see here. Janice Ian, Breaking Silence. Ooh, yes. Yeah, you don't want to drop. Yeah, this shit is heavy. Dude, the Vidar. Oh my! Like, I'm not a little guy. Like, I'm fairly large. That Vidar is a pain in the butt because it's sharp. The fins. I call them fins, but like the cooling fins, or I'm calling them fins. Bring them fins. As they stick out, they're sharp. They hurt. And if that dropped on your foot, that thing weighs like 30, 40 pounds. I would cut your foot off. Like, that's no joke, man. That thing is heavy, and it's got really sharp edges. So, yeah. Uh-oh. Dang it. I don't know what you're talking about, Cream. Blue is lovely color. Yeah. But, let's see. Oh, wow. Got 5 minutes past the hour. Real quick, I don't want to make this go too much longer. Maybe a couple more minutes. I'll do a couple more questions, but I'm going to go put the daughter in the bath and lay her down for bed. But yeah, let's go over a couple more questions real quick. Yeah, there you go. Vids about vinyl suggest. Yeah, vinyl would be dope. So that'd be another thing, like vinyl chasing. I have a buddy that's on Instagram, and he's a big vinyl collector, and I know plenty of people are vinyl collectors. The thing with it is that stuff's heavy. Like, vinyl's heavy, and it takes up a lot of space, and you have to take really good care of it, and you have to do a ton of stuff. And so with me, what I started to collect more and more vinyls. I was trying to just collect a bunch, and then all of a sudden I hit this point where I was like, I think what I want to do is I'm only going to chase vinyl of specific albums that I really, really want. So I think that's my next thing that I'll probably dive into a little bit more, but I don't think I'll ever be one of those guys that has like a ridiculous vinyl collection, but you never know. So I think we're slowing down a little bit here. So look out for, what is your favorite ice cream? Oh man, all ice cream is delicious. Probably least favorite would probably be vanilla, unless it's in a root beer float. Oh, hey, I don't know what's going on. Your ears are burning. I knew it. Let's see. I would say, Elnick, we need to schedule a Forge live stream here in the near future, once you're ready. But ice cream, let's see. Man, I like all ice cream. Oh, you know what? I'm a big fan lately. I've been really digging on banana ice cream, like banana flavored ice cream, or like I don't know. I'm a big banana, like banana coconut. Whew. I like that tropical stuff. Good stuff. Gotta tell me where you got those cool light bars. Okay, these things are expensive, and they are from Namlight. I got them from, but they're just a 4-foot light bar, and you can power on, power them off, and they're cold. Like, these have been on for an hour and no heat whatsoever. Hard plastic. You can do a bunch of cool stuff with them. You can change the colors of them and all that fun stuff. They kind of look like a lightsaber, but the back is not lit up, just the front part of them. And so there's good ambient, good way to like do cool things. But they're called the Nan Light. Here, actually, I'd probably turn this off so you don't get blazed with your eyeballs here. Yeah, see what loads up here. There you go. The Nan Light, and these are the here you go. Nan Light Pavo Tube 30C. So that's what these are. These two things. And they're cool. And so I'm gonna use them for some video stuff in the near future. So that's what those are. Get the pen. Thanks, JGB. Actually, speaking of coffee, I'm gonna try something out. I'll talk to some people later on. Neapolitan. Yes, I love Neapolitan ice cream. It is quite fancy. I'm not really a big fan of the vanilla in the middle, but the strawberry and the chocolate, those are the better ones. Ube ice cream, yes. Oh, That is one of my all-time favorites. I will 100% agree with you. Love ube ice cream. Little known fact, my wife is Filipina, so that is, I love the going out and getting a bunch of like the different like halo halo and that kind of stuff. Love it. So delicious. But yeah, good one. Ridiculous. Let's see here. All right, Luro, happy VC. Yeah, VCs are fantastic. They feel almost too chill sometimes. Is there a way to have them feel more forward bite on notes? If you're into EQ, you could probably do a very small amount in the mid-range. There's a certain dip that the VCs have that the VOs don't, and it's in the mid-range. And that's probably what you're hearing, is that there's a little, they sound a little bit sucked out on the mid-range for the VCs, just as a heads up. You can usually like flesh that out a little bit more with maybe like a more forward amp, or like a tube amp with different tubes. You can kind of play around with different tubes and get that to be a little more fleshed out or fuller sounding. Trying to think. You can also go with a even maybe more bright or more forward, higher powered solid state, and that would probably help a little bit. But just know that the VC does have a little bit of a mid-range dip out, and it does have that kind of like, it's not really sucked out per se. It's more like it's kind of the mid-range it's just kind of pulled back from the highs and the lows. Yeah, the strawberry. Yeah. Oh, Marius, the wife. So, funny story. I'll do this story real quick. Let's see here. My wife. So, she went out of the house, and her luck was perfect because the shipping crate showed up. I hauled butt and ripped the whole thing out, moved the speakers into the house, set it all up before she got home, and she luckily didn't notice because she was like literally came home on a conference call, went up to her office and was on a conference call, so she didn't see it right away. I went and picked up the daughter from daycare, and daughter came home. Daughter saw the speakers and was just like, woo, and ran upstairs, and I could hear her saying to my wife something along the lines of like, Mama, Papa got new speakers. You're not gonna like those, or you're not gonna like them. So the wife came down and was like, what's that? The good thing about those new speakers, though, is that each speaker is literally bigger than my wife, so she can't move them. So they're there. I trumped her with size and weight. So. But yeah, so oh man, that small batch smoke wagon, that is tasty. It's like a God, what is that? Almost has this mild, it's got a little ethanol there, but it has like oh man, it tastes like almost like you ever had the cinnamon, the little cinnamon hots? What are those called? Anyways, little hot hard candies that kind of remind me of, like on the back end. The front end is very like sweet, like chocolate, almost like a chocolate caramel almost. Interesting. Anyhow, I hear the bath going, so I'm probably in trouble. But yeah, cheat code, buy heavy speakers. Can't move them. They're there now. Usually doesn't work out well, but you know, it is what it is. Anyways, thanks everyone for joining. Yeah, so look forward to some videos this week. I'm going to try and do like a whiskey one this week, and also I want to try and do another, probably I'm going to work on the mini, and we'll see if I can get that one done and out the door as well. Like not the hot tamales, but the little hard candy ones, the little dots, the little cinnamon hard candy ones. Hot tamales are delicious though. I love hot tamales. But yeah, ooh, got the strong alcohol burps now. Ooh. It has a little kick to it. Yeah. Anyhow, I'll chat with everybody there. I'll try to get the mini out, and I'll probably do a whiskey one here comparison in the this week. So buy things that are bigger and heavier than you can move. That's 100% pro tip. All right. Cheers, everybody. Have a great rest of your Sunday, wherever you're at. And we'll chat again later. And I'll try to do a live stream with Elnick and Marcello down the road, too. So keep an eye out for that stuff. All right. Cheers. Have a good one, everybody.